Welcome to the Tradiewife Life podcast, brought to you by Tradies in Business, where we talk to tradie wives about their goals, their challenges, their hopes and dreams, and how their trade business can help with that. Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Tradiewife Life. I feel like it's been forever since I've recorded an episode. And if I look here, you ladies get to listen frequently. They come out every week. However, there can be big gaps in my schedule between recording dates. And I think I'm like a good month out since the last time I recorded a podcast here at Tradiewife Life. And I was in a bit of a flap this morning thinking, what do I normally say? What do I normally do? Because when I'm doing the Tradies in Business one, it's very different. Warwick and I have a different dynamic. And when I'm over here at Tradiewife Life, it's really me quite solo with our wonderful guests, which kind of feels like being a tradie wife anyway, because that journey is very solo, tends to be very different than what we imagine it to be. We fall into it, so we don't really think out our career trajectory as a tradie wife. It's something we say, I'll help out or I'll lend you some of my expertise. And suddenly, before you know it, you're jumping onto a podcast with an amazing guest that I have here today and thinking, yep, this is just like being a tradie wife. Ashley Kerr, thank you so much for being here today. Ashley and I go a little way back. We've been in contacts for a while now, and it started as blog friends way back in the blogging world. There are still some blogs out there, but not many. And then we connected again over Instagram. Ashley works with her husband, Nathan. They have a business called Master Roofing Australia. Ashley, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. It's been a long time since we've been able to do this. So Ashley, can you tell our listeners, I suppose I know a fair bit about you, but maybe tell our listeners a little bit about you and how you came to be working alongside Nathan in your roofing company.
Yeah, so we were living in Brisbane. I had finished studying a business degree in HR, so I was living the corporate life. I was commuting by train. He was doing the tradie life, and it was very different. We would come together, have dinner, and then we would spend our night in our home office doing all the invoicing and quoting and catching up on the admin. And we didn't have that work-life balance after work. It sort of just continued on into the night, and we thought, let's do something to change this. So we moved to the Gold Coast. We missed our coastal lifestyle. We are originally from northern New South Wales and grew up on the coast, so we were seeking more of a coastal lifestyle. So the move to the Gold Coast first, and with that ended my corporate career in Brisbane. I didn't want to commute on the train anymore, so I took over the reins of the business full time. So I guess, I just fell into that role of tradie wife.
As we all do. We were laughing off air. I don't think there's a single tradie wife that can claim that they grew up dreaming of being a tradie wife and working alongside their husband in the business. In fact, I did a poll yesterday. So our clients at a particular level have access to an app where we can chat like a walkie-talkie chat to them every day. And I did a poll yesterday asking them all what they wanted to be when they grew up. And it was fascinating to me. Early on, there was a clear leader. All of the gents wanted to be tradies, and that's exactly what they do. And all of these ladies had amazing career aspirations, and some of them went on to do that. But overwhelmingly, many of them so far, have not stepped into what it was that they wanted to do individually. And not one of them regretted it. They all love the choices that they had made and where they've ended up. And it was really interesting social commentary to see that the gents that for the most part, I'd say 85% of them had very firm ideas on what they wanted to do, and that's what they did. And the split would be exactly the same the other way. 85% of the ladies weren't doing what they thought they wanted to do when they were growing up or at school. So it's really interesting to see how we fall into these trade businesses as we do. And yet, as you, I'm sure, will share with us, they can become fantastic career opportunities for us.
Absolutely. I wanted to be an architect. I love houses. I love drawing houses, imagining what my dream home would look like. And although my career didn't go down that path, I have been blessed to be able to draw the design for my own house and build that. So I still had that fun and experience of what I thought an architect would be. It's definitely not what I had thought, and I'm glad I didn't go down that path. I have the mathematical and scientific brain to, I guess, do the logistics of that role.
Yeah. It's fascinating to see how it all changes for us. And I guess maybe what I'd like to talk about, so Lots of ladies that listen to the show are considering making that change. They're considering jumping into their partner's business and working together. And I want to talk about how transferable our skills are, because on the outset, it could feel like our skills aren't transferable, and yet they are. My career was very much in pharmacy. It had nothing to do with the trade space at all. Yet just about everything I learnt working through my time in pharmacy, I've been able to utilize in our construction company. And I think actually, particularly with your skill set of HR, that would be extremely transferable to what you guys are doing. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you were able to fall into that role initially and what it started to look like and how you've been able to bring those other skill sets in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess having a corporate position beforehand in previous tradie wife life, I was able to see how businesses run, how businesses work. And I was young, I was determined, and I had a real drive to succeed. And I think that drive, wanting to have that satisfaction of building our own business up from nothing to what it is now, nearly 12 years later, it drove that for me. And I mean, I think skills are very transferable. I think, especially as a female, I love to talk. I think I call myself an introverted extrovert. I love my alone time. I am a homebody, but I do love a good chat. So I don't mind getting on the phone with customers and talking to, the senior customers who need me to slow it down and put it in simple terms. Whereas my husband, Nathan, sometimes will do the tradie talk and maybe not quite get it right with customers. So I think having that female side in the business is also important with staff and HR, of course, having another perspective, but also, customers are the core of a business. Keeping them happy and satisfied is really what's going to be your business success.
It's a fantastic point that you make. We see this really frequently. Tradies have their own lingo. They talk like we all understand what they're saying, a bit like going to a specialist. I can often come out of, with family with 5 children and a big family. You're often in a specialist's office listening to one diagnosis or another with kids, or a spiel about why we've got another broken bone and what we're going to do about it. There's always something. They very much talk in their own language, just like a tradie, with the assumption that we often understand what they're talking about. And it can lead to so much confusion for a client because they don't know. And there's that bit of fear around asking. I don't want to look silly that I don't understand this, so I'm not going to ask the question, which means that we're inadvertently setting some expectations that we can't meet because we're inviting the client to make it up for themselves. So I think it's a really important superpower that us women have. Most of us have not worked in and around the trades prior to becoming part of the business. And so we have this amazing ability to almost translate what our tradies are saying through to the client in a way that they can understand, in a common language that they understand, which means you have a huge power for how you can then foster those relationships with the clients to ensure that successful transaction with them and a fantastic outcome because they're feeling happy, they understood, they were well informed. Did you find that, because whilst I don't know Nathan personally, he's a very easygoing guy, or it appears to be from social media.
Yeah.
He's very relaxed, very easy to talk to. And so I wonder if if you saw a marked difference between the time before you were involved and the time since being involved, where there was a shift in customer interactions because of that language. It's not really a language barrier, and yet it is somewhat because they do talk so differently.
Yeah, well, I think definitely his transition in the business has been from being on the tools to now in a director project management role. So he hasn't been on the tools, I would say, for around 7 years. And in that time, he probably has stepped back and thought about the language, the lingo that is used, and probably my role in the business. He had to explain it all to me. I guess it's a little bit different to a plumbing or a building company. I can't go to site and see it all unfold. I'm not confident. I'm never going to climb up a ladder onto a 2-3-story roof. So I can't see it all unfold. So I see a lot of videos, photos, and I have pieced together the process of, talking about color bond and insulation and all these words. And I have had to self-teach and make them teach me. And I think that does help in me, even though I haven't seen it firsthand, I've really had to piece it together and build my knowledge. And I think it's pretty impressive sometimes as tradie wives how much we learn and we sponge and how confident we can be in communicating to customers. And, I think sometimes we do it better than the men.
Oh, 100%. You won't get any argument from me. Actually, was there any fear in the beginning for you when you first stepped in and started talking to clients? One of the things we hear back a lot is that, I feel nervous or apprehensive. Like, I can't build a house. Look, I can't say I know nothing about it anymore, but it's taken me a long time to be able to have a reasonable conversation with trades around the process. I still couldn't do it practically myself. I just understand more of the process. However, in the beginning, even if I just speak about my own experience, I was terrified the clients were going to ask me questions I couldn't answer. And so I see that replicated in lots of tradie wives. They feel uncomfortable. Well, why would I answer the phone? I don't know what they're talking about. And generally, you never asked a question that you don't know the answer to. And where you are, you actually have fantastic communication skills to be able to let them know that you'll find a way to answer their question and come back to them. Ashley, was that a fear for you that you had to push through, or did you find that transition quite easy?
Well, I definitely think there's always that fear. I mean, I still get it now. If I answer the phone, I think, oh, please just let it be an easy inquiry or an easy customer. I hope I don't get a hard question. And I think, you can just sort of bluff your way through it in terms of putting on, I think, through over the phone, you can always hear a smile and a happy voice. You can hear that. And I think just being polite and kind and just saying, I'm not quite sure. I will get the supervisor or the foreman or someone to give you a call back, and just giving them expectations that they should call you by the end of the day, and making sure that that follow through and happens and they get the right answers in a, I guess, reasonable time frame. And that you're still doing your job and you're doing the best you can. And sometimes there will be tricky questions, but I don't think fearing it or dreading every time the phone rings. You just have to embrace it. It's learning. And maybe that tricky question, you'll learn the answer the next time you can answer it yourself.
Yeah, I think we forget that the customers don't know, and neither do we, and that's okay.
That's right.
Yeah, they don't know that
we know more than them. So that's hopefully
absolutely. Absolutely. And most of the questions are about the process, I suppose, more so than the technical aspects of work, because the people that want the technical aspects are generally talking to the tradie anyway. They're sub-trades or they are suppliers, etc. Most of the client questions are just about what's the process look like? What happens next? When will this happen? What will happen after that? Most of which you'll have a reasonable understanding of. And if you don't know, you can always come back to them. It doesn't need to be something that we do fear.
Yeah, we've put a lot of processes. I think with technology now, we have grown and come a long way. And, there's SMS programs that, you can send out automated generated text. We have emails with PDFs that are drafted and ready to attach, and it will be explaining the roof replacement procedure and here's what to expect. This is what's going to happen next. Here's a timeline. You can put it all into words. So most of the time, if I am making a phone call to the customer and discussing a job or a timeline, I have it all in writing anyway. And the phone call is more of a courteous, just letting you know I'm sending this to you today. Have a read through it. Email or call back if you have questions. And, sometimes it's just, you've got it there in paper, you've got it there in SMS format. It's just utilize that technology to make yourself feel more confident, communicating and broadcasting what it is you need to share and tell the customer.
Love it. Great tip. Ashley, can you tell us, so you came into the business, you're working full-time, you're not working full-time anymore. That business journey has changed for you as well as it's changed for Nathan. Can you talk us through a bit of how that came about and what has changed?
Yeah, so what has changed in our life is we've gone from becoming young newlyweds building a business to becoming parents. So we are blessed with 3 beautiful children. Our eldest are identical twin boys. So they came into the world in December. 21st December is their birthday. So my maternity leave officially started the day before I had the boys. So it was sort of that interview rush. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the whole of December off. I'm going to have that time to have a bit of nesting and organization and before I have the children. But yeah, knowing what it's like at the end of the year, it's always the, beat the Christmas reno or all the projects that have to be done. So I worked right up until my maternity leave, and I probably spent the first probably 9-10 months being full-time mum, and I gradually just dipped my toe back into the workplace probably for 2 hours or so a week, and I was just doing some pays and payroll things like that. And I would do it while the children slept at lunchtime. Back then they have a nice sort of 2-hour day sleep in the middle of the day, and you feel like you've got the timers on, you're going to achieve so much in 2 hours. You don't procrastinate.
Yes.
And that's how I sort of dipped my toe back into the workforce. And I was just doing a couple of hours. And then when they were probably over 12 months old, my mum, takes a village to raise a family, doesn't it? And mum had stepped in and looked after them for a day a week. And that was on a Friday, which coincided with paydays and invoicing and all that bookkeeping part of the business. So I started to work one day a week on a Friday. And I did that right up until my second child was born. We have quite a close age gap. We have 3 under 2 at that point. So that took me out for a while. So I was busy. So when my daughter came along, I was still doing a bit of payroll and bookkeeping, but it took me a few years to get back into the seat part-time. And now I do 2 days a week. My eldest twins are at school this year, their first year of prep, and my daughter is in preschool 2 days a week. So I work those 2 days. We are very fortunate, though, to have a purpose-built home office. So with staff and contractors and people, suppliers visiting our workplace, we have an external entry and door. They don't come into the home. And that has been a great sense of freedom and flexibility, being able to work from home, but still having, I guess, a professional base. People can come and go, and the children could be in the house and no one knows sort of what's going on in the home life.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. It certainly was a very smart decision that you two made when you were building your home. Yes. I do want to talk about your home actually, because it's stunning, and I wouldn't want to leave your home either. It's beautiful. So actually there next year both, or I say both because I'm thinking about 2 pregnancies, but the 3 kids will be cool. And life's likely to change again. Have you any thoughts about how you might like to work with the business once the kids are in school?
Yeah, like at the moment, I'm still doing a lot of the back end things. I'm not there enough to do the day-to-day scheduling and the running of the everyday projects of the business. So I'm still doing the back end. I do lots of projects, workplace health and safety. I might, create new template forms, things like that. 2 years ago, I worked on redoing our website and updating all our social media and making sure all our contacts and everything are correct, and all those projects that hubby, who's in the day-to-day running, doesn't get a chance to do. And that's what I love. I love that side of it. So next year, with 3 at school, I'm envisioning maybe working 3.5 days a week. And I would still love to be able to be really present for the children. I do the drop-offs and the pickups in the afternoons and mornings. And I'd still want to do that. I want to be there at school assembly when they pick up an award and watch them run in the athletics carnival. I want to have that flexibility. And also being a mum to 3 young children, it is busy, and I want to still have that homemaker role. I want to still make sure there's a home cooked dinner on the table each night and have that balance. I think as a self-employed business owner, that's why we do it, to have that flexibility and freedom. So I do want to be in the business more. I love working with my husband. I love the teamwork and what we do, but I still want to be really present for my children and have an organised house that's got food in the fridge and the washing is done. Because for me, if my home environment is organised and not chaotic, then I feel like I'm on top of things, and I feel like I can go to work and achieve something in the day. I do feel working from home sometimes, it definitely has its benefits, but I know I can't go to work in the morning when I get back from the school drop-off unless the dishes are in the dishwasher, the bench is wiped down, and everything is put back as it should be from the morning chaos, because I feel I don't want to finish work and come home to that. I just want to know everything is done and I can go and concentrate on work for my 6 hours and then be finished for the day.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? I feel exactly the same. Not that I'm successful at it all the time. As I sit and I look at my desk, like a bomb went off. Because I'm
not saying I'm successful, but I do try. You can only try.
It makes a huge difference. All right, let's talk about your house. I love your house, and it has been one heck of a journey for the 2 of you over the last few years. And I also feel like your it's not necessarily your house, it's more your Instagram presence has almost created another career for you on its own as you start to delve into working with some brands. A lot of that has been focused around the house and the children that I've seen anyway. But I think it's a fascinating journey that you guys have been on to first create your home. And then, of course, we had some complications over the last couple of years, and you've had the ability to be able to recreate your home a second time. Can you tell us about that, Ashley, rather than me alluding to it and our listeners thinking, what on earth is she on about this time?
Okay. So we were able to do a knockdown rebuild, and the day that we purchased the land in the original house was the day we actually found out we were pregnant. And that was with the twins. So that was in 2016. So we were doing, the Beat the Baby reno. We're like, you know what? The babies are due somewhere around December. Let's see. We knew that they were going to be preemie. And we're like, let's see if we can have the house built in 6 months. Well, it didn't happen. The day that I was in hospital, the concrete foundations were being poured at our house. So the foundations and the formwork were happening. So from when we came home from hospital, we spent 4 weeks in the special care nursery with the boys. And when we came home from hospital, my husband was doing the house owner builder. So he was, 12 hours a day at the house, also trying to run a business and staff and work and doing the juggle. And I was at home full time with the newborn twins and packing our house ready to sell, ready to move into our home. So it was a very busy time. And we were lucky enough that we were able to build a beautiful home. But after living in it for 5 years, there was a few things that we would have loved to tweak, but we would never have done a renovation. And I'm just talking simple things like perhaps the cavity slider door might have better, worked as an opening door, or things like that. Nothing major. And then when we had the Southeast Queensland floods that hit Brisbane and the Gold Coast and into the Northern Rivers, it was the 28th of February 2022, we unfortunately suffered some drainage and stormwater flooding issues. So we were lucky our home was not filled with murky, muddy flood water, but we did have some water entry in areas and rooms. And as part of the insurance claim, the demolition work that they did to ensure that there was no mold in the walls and under the floorboards was extensive. So they just basically took a sledgehammer to our house, and from the ground to 1.2 meters up, they took out all the insulation, all the walls, all the skirting, all your floor, everything, to make sure that there was no water and moisture, because it was such a big flood event across Southeast Queensland and New South Wales. The issue with the black mold being it was in February, it was summer. They were so paranoid, I think, the insurance company, of mold and the ramifications and the flow-on effects of that they wanted to make sure that there was no chance that they were leaving any moisture or anything behind. So they went probably a bit over and beyond. So we let them do that demolition work, and then they presented us with a scope of works of what needed to be done to rebuild the home. And because we had built the house ourselves and were proud of the home we built, my husband is probably, I guess, a bit, I don't want to label like control freak, but he is very good at managing things, and that's his job. And he didn't want to leave it up to, other trades and leave his livelihood, his home, his business, and his family in the hands of another builder. So he chose to recash settle the claim and rebuild and manage the project ourselves. So that was a 9-month project where we were living in an Airbnb, and sort of once again he was doing 12-hour days at the house, 6 days a week. And it was a really busy, challenging time. And like I just said to my husband, I've had enough. Like I need to go home. I cannot do. We were commuting from northern New South Wales. We were living over the border and commuting back up to preschool and work. I can't do it anymore. The house has to be done the first week of December. I just cannot go another week. And so he put the pressure on, moved the deadline and the goalpost forward a week, and we were able to move back in. And so we were home for Christmas, and we got to have a beautiful summer in our home. And with our firstborn child, which was actually a dog, so our beautiful Cooper, in this time we found out that he had cancer and he didn't have long to live. So for me, I just wanted to get him home. I wanted myself to be home, to be comfortable and settled, and just to live his last, we didn't know if it was weeks or months, but I just wanted him to be back in his safe place. So that all worked out, and we were able to, live back with him for 3 more months before we had to say goodbye. So it's been a very up and down journey with the renovation, and we were able to change things and make it better than it ever was. And obviously live in the home and experience it and make those changes for the better. And we're also able to go and have 9 months living by the beach, and the beach was 200 meters away. And we're able to walk to the beach every day. And we live this completely different lifestyle where we are on acres. We have to be in the car all the time. So it was such a blessing to have that in hindsight and to have those final months with our beautiful Cooper dog by the beach and lots of outdoors and fun. And those times together were really, really blessed, I guess, and lucky. So yeah, it's been a big couple of years.
It's been a tremendous journey, and I'm only observing it from the safety of my own home that hasn't been through any of that stress. Some little bits we share, but I know just how stressful some of that stuff is. It's enormous, not just for you, but also for the children. And their kids are very resilient, and sometimes I think that's a bit of a throwaway word. They can feel very safe and secure where mum and dad are safe and secure. And you guys did a fantastic job from what I observed of keeping them quite settled despite the huge amount of driving and toing and froing. And of course, not to downplay the work that Nathan was having to do with those massive big days, running a company, doing the whole lot. It's a huge amount of time. So it can be really challenging, but to be able to look back and think, you know what, we really did value and enjoy that time where we were able to get to the beach. We were able to spoil our darling Cooper and have some lovely memories with him, with the kids as well, that they'll never forget, which is really special. I think some of that definitely is a blessing, but not until well after the dust has settled, because that time is horrible in the moment. But I think you guys nailed it. I remember the excitement. One of my greatest Christmas wishes was to see you guys move back into your home. And I was knowing the industry the way that I do at that time of year. I was so concerned that something would go wrong. And I was very pleased to see that it all went well and you got in.
We joked, like the neighbours were just thinking, what is going on at our house? There would be a minimum of 15 tradie and vans and trucks out the front every day. We luckily have a really large street frontage. There were skip bins and portaloos in the works, and people were joking, are you running the block? Is the block, filling at your house or something? So it was such a tight run, ship system. It was tradies where Tyler would finish and the paint would be there that afternoon starting to paint. It was just back-to-back trades working around and on top of each other. And it was like, Scotty cam tools down, Sunday room reveal. It was like that every week. It was ticking off another huge part of the reno, and the next trade moving in to start their part. So yeah, it was a really big project, and it was on fast forward mode. And I think I just have, I guess naturally, Nathan, that instinct to be the boss and directing the situation was a real blessing. Because we got it over the finish line, and home by Christmas, it was magical.
And the renovations are very much still ongoing. You guys have only just finished redoing some of your outdoor area, which looks sensational. And so we've got to make sure we've got your Instagram handle in the show notes today, because it is worth checking out. It's stunning. And I wonder, what on earth is Nathan going to do with his free time now that he has finished renovating the house?
Well, I would love him to get out in the surf. I would love him to get a hobby. Enough house, cools down. I think just enjoy it. Really looking forward to this summer. Each year it just gets better with the kids being that little bit older. Last year they, received a surfboard for Christmas, and so they're all sharing the surfboard and learning to surf. But I mean, I just would love to see us, enjoying the beautiful place where we live. The Gold Coast is, a tourist destination. We've got hinterland and the ocean, and it is a pretty special place to live, and we love it. So I'm hoping for Nathan, he can, be in the outdoor area by the pool. We do love cooking outdoors, so we have put a barbecue and a pizza oven in, and I just love to see him out relaxing with the kids, kicking the footy, and, flipping the sausages on the barbecue, and just enjoying some downtime in this beautiful space we have created, and, enjoying all that hard work.
It's stunning, and a very well-deserved reward for both of you.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Instagram, because it's still one of my favorite places, even though I don't play there very much anymore. It's incredible to have watched how, just sharing your daily life, which is where I feel like it started for you, has transformed into something where I'm seeing you now working with brands, and this is almost like another career all on its own as it starts to flesh
Mhm.
out. Can you tell us a little bit about how that even started? Like what got you motivated to be sharing some of your life in the first place? And then what continues to motivate you to share? And is it curated? Is it something that you sit and think about, or is it something that you're just doing on the fly?
Yeah, it's all been a very organic procession, and it started with our first home that we were renovating, and I think family and friends were a bit sick of logging onto my Facebook back then and thinking, oh, she's sharing more before and afters of things that they've done at their home. So I thought I'm going to create a space where people can appreciate it. So I created a blog, and I met wonderful creatives like yourself, women in business, fellow bloggers, people who enjoyed my before and afters of
Mm.
painting the walls and, returfing and landscaping. And so it became a very organic growth, I guess, of sharing our first home and then our second home. And then as parenting and motherhood has taken over my life, it has just organically grown from there. I no longer blog. I don't have the time for the time consuming of photos and text and managing the upkeep of a website. Doing that for our business is enough. But I do really enjoy that creative outlet of Instagram. I have met some beautiful friends from Instagram that we've been met in person. I've even bought a car off someone off Instagram who we'd been talking to for over 10 years. Bought a car, unseen and shipped it over from WA because I trusted this friend who
Wow.
knew this person and thought, yeah, okay, this could work. So it's been a really interesting journey, I guess, with motherhood as well, having an outlet somewhere to share, somewhere to ask questions. What are you doing? How do you do this? And getting advice and sharing that journey and creating this network and friendships has been really beautiful. But I think for myself, it has just sort of organically grown, and I have loved working with brands and partnering. And for me, it gives me something out of our roofing construction business that's just for me. And it
Mm.
lets me do the things that I like to do. I love styling and interiors and decor, and I get to style up bedrooms or do different projects around the home, and it just gives that creative cup filling, enjoyment for me because I do need something out of the children and motherhood and our tradie business to just fill my cup. And it might be, taking some just behind the scenes stories of home and sharing just little snippets of my day, or it might be something a little bit more curated that takes more time, working with a brand that, it might take 2 hours to put together a reel or a post and create that footage. And I do that when the children are mostly at school or preschool. So they are on my work days, but it might be my lunch break and I think, oh, the light is just hitting the kitchen perfect right now. I'm just going to, put together a little bit of a capture and make a reel out of something like that. And yeah.
I love it. And it's been a great transformation watching how it's grown and changed over time. Instagram is one of those spaces that has really shifted, I think, in the last couple of years with reels and whatnot, and more focused to video. And I still feel it's really authentic. It's one of those rare social media platforms that allows us to have authentic conversations. It allows us to share little bits of our lives and then make some fantastic connections through that as well. I think it's an important place for us to be playing where it suits our personalities or our business.
Mm.
Actually, has it had any on-flow then for your business? Because occasionally you do share what you're doing over on your business page. Have you found that there is a connection and people understand that you are this person and that person?
Yeah, I probably could connect the two more. I certainly don't try and plug up business or do anything like that. I try and keep the two very separate. But some people are curious of
Yeah.
what do you do for work and how do you earn money? I have to explain, well, we actually do have a business that is our livelihood. And this world of Instagram is just a creative, fun outlet for me. And yes, it makes me a little bit of pocket money, and I put that money towards things for the kids or Christmas presents and things like that. That little bit of extra spending, maybe I might go and get my hair done or something like that. So it's nice to feel like I'm independent and earning that little bit for me. Our business and the money it creates is what puts fuel in the car and food on the table and the roof over our head. So I think sometimes just having that little bit of independence and sort of this hobby that has turned into something more is really wonderful.
Yeah, I do too. I love it. I love watching you grow. I'm enjoying your journey of motherhood. It reminds me so much of little kids now that mine are all grown up, and I don't know, they do like me somewhat, but it's different when they're all grown up. They're so
I know
cute.
I'm just gonna I'm in this season of life at the moment where my boys still want me to walk them into school, put their bags down and kiss them and hug them goodbye. And I'm here for it. I'm loving it because one day they'll say, no, mum, stay in the car. That's so embarrassing. I'm not going to hug and kiss you. So at the moment, I'm just soaking it all up and enjoying being there for them and them wanting me. And yeah, it's really beautiful.
I think I got really lucky, and the kids all, I'm not going to talk about my poor daughter because she was just embarrassed from the moment she was born, I'm sure. She didn't like mum much, but she does now, thankfully. And my son, I got lucky with the other four kids. They were all pretty good until about grade 11, and they got really embarrassed. We do live on the same street as the kids' school. And so I'd be out in the mornings, dressed for work. Like, it's not like I'm coming out in my pajamas or anything. And hang on, who cares if I was coming out in my jammies? But I'd walk my son, well, all of the boys at that time, out the door to say goodbye as they left early in the morning to go to football training before school. They would be so deathly embarrassed. I'd be being pushed back inside the door by the time they got to grade 11. But I can tell you it comes back. By the time they finish school, they liked me again. And I can still enjoy a nice hug and a kiss. And then I no longer embarrass them too much, just occasionally when I feel like it. It's a bit of fun. Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today. I was really excited about today's episode. It's great to share more of your journey. Also great, I think it's important, as we were speaking off air, we don't know what the journey through tradie wife life looks like before we start, many of us. And I think the more of us that keep talking about this, the more opportunity there is for that connection, understanding that we're not alone. It can feel like a really solo start when we first jump in. But also it gives us something to look towards. When you first come in, there's no way to understand, I think, unless you see that this can be an independent career and something that you can really love and value and can help you create those lifestyle goals that so many of us start business for. And I think you've done a great job of displaying that for us today, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Can you just tell our listeners where they can find you? So both your personal Instagram and tell us a bit more about Master Roofing Australia and where we can find that as well.
So you can find me at Sunshine Days on Instagram. My name is Ashley Kerr, and I share lots of our fun caravan and combi adventures that we do, and home, life, motherhood, the works. And with our business, Master Roofing Australia, I probably do need to get on the socials there more. I'm forever saying to my husband, do you have any good pictures? What's on your camera roll? What can I work with? And I do love making roofing a little bit sexy over there. It's fun to, put a good tune and a beat and create a reel and create something a little bit fun because, it is just a roof on a house. Sometimes not the most amazing, content to work with. But we have had a few viral videos that have gone, with 50,000 views and things like that. So that's always fun, putting your name out there and, building your business in a totally different form, I guess. It was when we started, it was very traditional, yellow pages were still a thing, and businesses that were, I guess, doing that and then now moving into this online, your website and your Instagram. I sometimes see our Instagram is more valuable than our website because people are on there and they're saying, are you doing current work? What are you sharing? What are you proud of? So definitely I need to not stop neglecting and get on there more.
It's just finding that time in the day. It's not the easiest. Thank you so much for listening.